So here's what you're looking at, all right? So first off, these are sort of dual layer player boards. And by sort of, I mean they're build your own. If you were familiar with some of the other delicious games that have this thing of stickers. So these are little stickers. So how this works, and we'll take a look at mine here to start with. Again, we're gonna talk about the functional things of this. So this thing around the outside, this border, is actually stickered on. So if you flip it over, which I can't because ours are stickered down, it has little circles on it. You literally pop one of these off, put it on, and then you peel the paper off and it comes off. It's really good. So there's a couple of them, whatever. There you have extras, so you can put a couple extra on if you need. But it's two different borders. Also, important to note, well, not really important, but kind of nice. You see this kind of glazed blurriness. This is in player colors. So if you look at mine, you can see that that's you know what, we'll do the pink one next. Mine's yellow, obviously. If you look at Martin's, you see again on the border, on the edge here, it has that little pink bit to make it blurry, which is a really cool effect.
In the underbelly of the ship.
Yeah, so the ship itself, which is on that, but you know what color it is, so just make sure you match those up. That's the first thing I wanted to mention. The second thing I wanted to mention was I thought this was kind of wasteful and whatever, like useless. This is where all the resources go. So this is actually really, really useful. Definitely recommend building it. It's worth it. However, it's not real clear. Is this piece right here? This little wedge isn't really, it's called out in the rules here in the little building thing, but just don't throw that out. That's really easy to throw that out. It's a bit of a tight fit. As you can see, ours is pretty janky now, but that way, if you store it, it can't fall. So kind of nice there, and then you pop it off and hey, everything's in there. So it's actually usable. Definitely recommend it. Just don't throw that out.
Although it's so janky, that thing, that
it is. You're gonna mess it up. So don't freak out about that. Dude, what happened to the color? I'm gonna have to fix that here in a minute. But anyway, putting this thing together, not too terribly hard. But there's definitely one piece here that is clear as mud, and that is number 6. Number 6 right here. It just has an arrow pointing down here. And we couldn't figure out what that is until we could. So if you turn it around, and not dump everything, this piece locks in right there to keep those, but it's this. So these get punched out and then that thing slides in so that thing can't come out. So that's what that is. And I thought that might be helpful for some of y'all that might struggle with that a bit. All right. So with that said, we're gonna pause a minute. So I'll be back in like 30 to 45 seconds. We'll be right. Hang out. All right, and we're back. Hey, that looks way better. There we go, fixed. All right, cool. Sorry about that. All right, so that is all the, and obviously this just snaps in. That's pretty clear. It's in the little, actually it's in the rule book itself. But anyway, that snaps in. Mechanically, if you are familiar with Shipyard First Edition, this is exactly the same. And I mean, nothing has changed, including the one contract that, in my very strong and not my own opinion, this one's broken. So we're actually going to remove this one from the play. The thing, when we did our review way back in the day, we recommend either doing away with this or having public goals. And by public goals, deal out 5 face up of each of the 2 colors, and then everybody can choose one of each to score at the end of the game. Instead, we're going to play it right, but we're just going to get rid of this one. So yeah, there you go. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I guess there's one other little adjustment that I made for the stream. These are supposed to be new natural color wood. For the stream, I just used the player colors to make it a little bit clearer so they pop easier for y'all. Okay? All right. So with that said, the goal of the game is Shipyard. Victory point track. Round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be building ships by acquiring ship pieces onto our player board. And when we do so, then we're going to send it out on what's called a shakedown cruise. Basically test it, make sure it's seaworthy. This just in, all the ships are seaworthy. This is how you're going to score a lot of your points. Your points are predominantly going to come from your shakedown cruises as well as your in-game goals. There's a little bit otherwise, but that's pretty much the two main things. So on your turn, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be choosing an action. Now, in this version of the game, in the 4-player game, this one goes there. In a 2 or 3, it flips over like so. But as it is, try that. There we go. That goes there, and these 3 all are in the order that they need to be. The rest of them, the other 4, are random. Okay? So those are laid out. On your turn, you are going to place your cube on an available action that does not have an action marker on it, and then you're going to take the action. On a subsequent turn after your first, your cube is going to be on it. At that point, you just kind of nudge it off. You're going to go like so, put it over, and whoop, and then you can choose any available action other than the one that you just chose, as well as you cannot choose any that anyone else is on. So let's say I went ahead and chose that, right? It's now my turn. When I choose an action, I cannot choose that one, nor can I choose the other 2 that are there. But if I choose any of the other ones, and we'll talk about those in detail, the important thing to note is you get 1 guilder, $1, for every player that you are to the left of. So there, I would get $3 and then take the action. If I were there, I would get $1 and take the action. Okay, pretty straightforward there. All right, cool. So you're going to take an action, do it. That's your turn.
Yeah.
Whatever the action you chose, that's what you're going to do. Okay. So again, we're building ship pieces predominantly to build ships. We're going to outfit the ships with the various crew and items in which to be able to have a successful shakedown cruise. In addition to that, we have commodities. We're going to acquire commodities. Those commodities are going to turn into either cold hard guilders or more resources and crew for the various shakedown cruises. All right. So now the easiest way to do this, go ahead and go through the actions. So on your turn again, you're going to take your action, you're going to do a thing, and then it's going to go around and around in turn order. Now, eventually, this little cube, it's going to come around, and this little cube here is going to drop down into its hole. You'll see right about here. Right there. It drops in. You can no longer move that. Like that. So what happens, that gets thrown out there, and you're going to remove for the next player's turn, put it in, da-da-da-da. Rinse and repeat until all of the cubes are gone. And then everybody's going to take one other action, and then a single building of the ship, and then a final shakedown cruise, then we go into final scoring. Okay? That's the mechanism of how the game plays. Now, what is it you're trying to do? As I said, other than building your ship and such, score points. So let's go over what the actions are. Take 2 guilders. If nobody has gone there, take 2 guilders plus everyone who's behind. One other thing I haven't mentioned is if an action makes it all the way down to the end. So let's say, for instance, there, it's the end of Blue's turn. Maybe they took this action right there. They did that on the previous turn. Fine, so be it. This, at the end of their turn, has made it down here, and it's still available. We're going to add a guilder. Now, obviously, the poker chips are not part of the game, but just work with us. It's just extra enticement. For anything that makes it to the end, at the end of that player's turn, you add a guilder. And then, if nobody then chooses it the next player's turn, add another guilder until somebody takes it. Okay? All right. So, get $2. Cool. All right. The next action, and I'm going to actually talk about both of these 2 specifically, as the same action, because functionally they are the exact same. So if we take a look over here at what's called the employee area, which is this, but we're looking at the rondels that are there in the middle. So these rondels, what you're going to do for the inner one that has color pictures, again, talking about this one has the white border meaning this one, pictures right there. You advance it one space and you get whatever that is. So in this case is a stoker, also known as a propeller for those in the first edition. All right, if it's there, you then advance it to there, so on and so forth. These are randomly placed at the beginning of the game. You can always pay guilders to advance it more spaces up into the amount of guilders that you have, including the initial spot. So let's say I really need a soldier for my Shakedown cruise to outfit my ship. But when I go, it just advances one. I can pay 3 guilders and I get a soldier. Okay, easy enough. The exact same works for the cranes, the cannons, the sails, and the smokestacks. Same deal. It will advance one, or you can pay to advance it further. You cannot pay to advance here on the commodity track, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But anyway, get one from the supply, any of those things. So that is those two. Easy enough. We've talked about that. Now, before we talk about selling commodities and stuff, we actually have to talk about purchasing or acquiring commodities. So again, coming back to the employee track over here, well, actually the ship piece track. The ship piece track has the commodities right here. The market for these will be a cascading down, and then we will refill from the top. So 0, 1 guilder, 2 guilder, you get the idea. Choose any one, pay the money to the bank, claim it. Easy enough. So that's how you're going to acquire the commodities. Now, coming on back, that is how you get them. You can have multiples at any given time, but what do you do with them once you have them? Next is this action, which is actually turning the commodities in for what it is that's pictured on them. Now, everybody starts the game with that. So it's one of each of the 3 commodities: coal, cloth, and wheat or food. So when you go, the first thing you're going to do is advance it one space. You cannot pay to advance it more. It just goes to the next space. If it's here, it will advance to there. This is just where it starts, okay? So it's not in play otherwise. But you'll notice you can choose either to sell these for guilders. So in this case, it'd be $2, $2, $2, $6. Cool. Or you can mix and match any of the things that are associated with that. Now, let me go ahead and use this one as a better example. So let's say I had this one, and I could, instead of taking the money for the wheat, I could instead get a captain, a business person, or a crane. Okay, easy enough. For cloth, I could take cash, or I could take a soldier, a sail, or a cannon. It's important to note, you can choose 2 things, meaning I can take a soldier and a cannon. What you are not allowed to do is take 2 of the exact same thing at all. So you cannot take 2 soldiers, nor can you take 2 sails, nor can you take 2 cannons. You can sell wheat, you can sell cloth, and then you can sell cloth again, or you can take a soldier, or a soldier and a sail. You get the idea. The same will go for that. Here, stoker or smokestack or cash, or a smoker and a stoker and cash, or all cash. But the point is, you can't get 2 of the same actual item or crew member for these commodities. All that makes sense? Any questions on those?
No.
All right. So we have covered those. We've covered those. We've covered this. All right. Next, let's go and talk about employees. They don't look like employees. They just look like little cardboard rectangles. They're employees, though. What those are these around the outside, around the outside, around the outside. This cube randomly appeared on that spot. Could have started there, what, doesn't matter. First thing you do, advance it one space, and then you may acquire any one of the employees. Now, the employees that are on there, they are randomly placed out. You see any of these that have the red circle on them as part of setup? There is one of those employees in each of the buckets, if you will, groupings there. And then there are 2 different colors of each of these. There is a brown and a less brown. All right. So the brown goes on the bottom, and then the less brown matching it, the tan, if you will, goes on top. All right. So when you advance it, you may pay again 1 guilder to go as many spots as you want, and you may acquire 1 employee. However, there's a couple of rules on these. Normally, they're free to take. You can take it, and it's either a rule breaker, get extra stuff, something like that. But if it has a little red guilder symbol right here in the top left corner, that means you got to pay $1 to take it. You cannot have 2 of the same. So in other words, if I have taken this one, I cannot also take that one. Now, there is a similar but opposite rule when it comes to the commodity trading ones. So you'll notice that this wheat here is a level 1 wheat, and it will get you $1 extra whenever you sell wheat at the market. Okay, cool. This one is a level 2 wheat, which looks just like this, except for the Roman numeral 2 in the middle. In order to claim this one, you must have a level 1, and then you can get a level 2, and yes, they stack, meaning if you have them both, you will get 2 extra guilders whenever you sell wheat. Now, again, if you exchange it for one of these, you don't get money because you chose the thing or crew member in lieu of that, all right? All of these will break rules and allow you to do and get extra stuff. We will talk about them later as we progress through the game. There's no need to go through all those in detail. Just know that you can get one for free unless it has that little guilder, and you can advance it by paying extra. All right, good, good. All right. Now, I've saved the actual meat of the game for the last bit. The last bit are ship pieces and canals. You need ship pieces to build ships to then be able to take onto a shakedown cruise. You cannot take a shakedown cruise unless you have a canal on which to sail the ship that you just built. So here it says 1 to 3. You guessed it. You can buy or acquire 1 to 3 ship pieces. The left row, as we're kind of normally looking at this, is always bows. The stern is always the rightmost. And then there are 2 middles, all right? 2 body pieces, if you will. And again, we have this handy dandy little thing. We have bows, we have sterns, all the 1 middles, all the 2 middles. Empty all the 1s, and then you go into the 2s, and then the commodities hang out in that as well. All right. When you can acquire ship pieces, you can acquire these mostly at your whim. There are some rules here that we will talk about in a little bit. But every ship must have a bow, must have a stern, must have at least 1 middle. It can have up to 7 middles, but it must have a bow and a stern and at least 1 middle. Okay? Now, if you take a look at these various mounting points, so let's look at that one and let's look at that one in particular. Grab me a sail too, please. So you'll notice that the iconography, the painting or picture of it, matches what goes on it. So in this case, a crane, which has the similar picture, fits right on there, and it just sits right on top. The smokestack goes on, has the little wheels, it's cranked down there, and hey, sails look the exact same. All right? So those are the type of mounting places, except for cannons. Cannons, and we'll go ahead and move these bad boys back. Cannons have the little triangle piece, little mount, which matches what a cannon will mount on. Okay, like that. Cool. There we go. All right. Now, you'll also notice that there are some other icons on these. There are cabins. There are 2 different types of cabins. There are white cabins. These are for officers and business people. And then there are I guess, grayish cabins. Those are for stokers, also known as propellers. All right. So there were propeller mounting points in the first edition. Now there are stokers, and stokers are just another dude. Looks like he's been working in a coal. So there you go. Stokers will specifically go into the grayish color cabins. All right.
Totally stoked.
Yeah, totally, dude. All right, then on top of that, there are various safety pieces on here. There are life rafts, there are life preserver ring things, and then there are lanterns. Those are going to help with scoring. Okay, that's all those are. Okay, so when you can acquire ship pieces, again, how many can you acquire? 1 to 3, your choice. These cost just like the commodities, and you don't refill them until you've chosen all of them. So you can show your work, basically. Let's say, hey, I want this one, I want that one, and I want that one. Okay, how much is that going to cost me? 2, 3, 0, $3 all day. Pay your $3, take your pieces, cool. Then, once you have done so, then you come over to your handy dandy little dual layer player board. And you'll notice all these little spots have a little superimposed weight, little boxes. Wouldn't you know, hey, these fit just right there. Now, the important thing to note on this, a stern must go in the right piece. A bow must go in the left piece. Now, that does not mean that you can't do something like that. You absolutely can. But only a bow, only a stern, and then the others, it depends. You cannot place, once you place a piece, it is there forever until you launch that ship. It's important to note that it must be able to be a viable ship. What I mean by that is this is allowed. You can put a bow in a bow, and that would be bow wow. And the reason you can do that is you can continue doing this because eventually you're going to go ahead and throw a stern on, and hey, this ship will launch, and now you still have these available to be able to build. What you can't do that because it's got to have, that's a cute little boat, but no, you got to leave room for a middle. No and once you place it, that's it. You cannot move it. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Now, so let's go ahead and give this example. Let's go ahead and say I have that, and maybe I do something like that, right? And I built some ships, and here we go. I've got some pieces from various. As soon as I put this one in and I make a viable ship, it immediately ships. It immediately sets sail. However, there are 2 mandatory things that you absolutely need to have in order for this to be a viable ship. You must have a captain, and a captain does not need a cabin because he's a hardy dude. So even though there's a cabin, the cabin can be for either another captain, aka a first officer, or a business person, if you want, for scoring, or a soldier. But as it is, he doesn't need one. And you can acquire all the things that you need, like smokestacks, and or all the things you want, I should say, and all your crew. You can just kind of have them hanging out up here. But when it launches, you got to put them down on here, and they go with the ship. They're a one-time use. So whenever I go ahead and put that on, it must have 2 things. 1, it must have a captain. Checks out, good to go. The second thing you must have is a canal. It's got to have a place that you've rented to be able to take it out on a shakedown cruise. The cost, $0, $1, or $2. And when you purchase it, goes onto your board, just kind of hangs out until you need it. Once you launch your first ship, so getting back to how this looks, let's say I have this. I have a captain. I have a canal. We're launching because I have completed this ship. Now, I could add various things onto here if I so desire. Okay? So let's say I throw a sail on there. I don't have room for a crane, so I can't do that. I got room for a stoker. Let's go ahead and throw that bad boy on, and maybe I also have a cannon. So there, that is not used, but there you go. I am ready to set sail, good to go. And I'm going to go on this canal. When I go, the first thing that's going to happen is I have to place my dinghy, which is a representation of whatever ship it is that you're setting sail. And where you place it, the first spot that you place it will not count. So if you cover something that is going to give you bonus points, you will not get those bonus points for that thing. But as it is, I don't have any cranes on here, so you know what? Yeah, I'm okay with that. Let's go and do it like that. Cool. All right. So Now I need to figure out, okay, how does this work? Well, I'm glad you asked that. So let's go ahead and take a look at our Shakedown cruise info. So this is determining the speed of our ship, and these will determine the victory points that we get for sending the ship on our Shakedown cruise. Every ship, as long as it has a captain, is a viable ship. So it will have a base of 1. However, if a ship has a stoker propeller and a smokestack, which, again, let's look at ours. We have a stoker in a cabin, has to have a cabin. That'd be mean otherwise. And a smokestack checks out. Good to go. So we have that. That means we have a base speed of 4. In addition to that, for every sail, every stoker, including one that has a cabin, or additional smokestack, adds 1 speed. So we have 2 sails. So we have this, base of 4, and we have 2 sails. That's going to be a speed of 6. Awesome. If we were missing one of those, then we would just add up our speed based on these things. Notice this is for every pair of smokestacks gives you 1 speed. Okay? All right. So usually it's going to be here a base of 4, but sometimes you might have those. All right, cool. All right, so we have a base speed of 6. So looking at our ship now, 6, this guy's going to move 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is a legit thing. Ooh. Now, let's say I were here. I could not do that because I don't have enough canal to be able to send this ship. So the only fix for that is either remove 1 or both of the sails or drop my speed even lower by not having the base of 4, right? I could do that. Or if I've taken, say, something along the lines of something like this. So let's say it started there because we'd already launched a ship, right? That was a speed of 1. This bad boy has a speed of 6. Whenever you get a second canal, you must immediately place it either on one of the adjacent sides. It could go like that. It could go like that. It could go. You get the idea. But once you place it, just like your ship pieces, that's it. So let's say, okay, we're going to launch it. Here's my speed of 6. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. And now at this point, I have a choice to make on a direction. Okay, 4, 5, 6. So now you cannot change the direction of your little dinghy here, which means I have foregone all of that and I have foregone all of that. So my next canal probably needs to go right here, or else I'm not going to be able to go on a Shakedown cruise, right? But okay, there we go. I have moved 6. Now, what are these spots? First off, we're going to use poker chips to be able to exemplify everything here. Our speed, let me go back. Our speed is going to be a base number of whatever the points are, okay? So it's a speed of 6. We get 6 points for that.
Okay.
When we hit a blue ribbon space, it is whatever your speed was at the moment you hit that. Now, we know our top speed is 6. We've already gotten the 6 points for that, but it's when you hit that. Then every cannon space and or crane space will score, check that. Every cannon or crane will score you 2 points on your Shakedown cruise. In addition to that, every human on board except for a smoker.
Yep.
Stoker. Yeah. Why? Because he's a propeller. So that's why. Don't think of it as less than. But anyway, each of those will get you a point. In addition to that, you're going to score, depending on the spaces that you've hit, for cranes and cannons, as well as cranes equal businessmen, cannons equal soldiers. I'll explain that here momentarily. All right. We have a base speed of 6. We started here. Our speed was 1, 2, 3, 4 when we hit the blue ribbon. So that's going to be 4 more points. Okay? We good? We hit 2 of these cannon spots. The cannon spots will score 1 point for every cannon. We only have 1. We don't have anything on that. If we had a soldier in that spot, notice the soldiers have a little inset cannon on it. Business people have an inset crane. They will score 1 point for that. So we hit 2 cannon spots. That would be 2 points for this one because we hit 2 of them. And it would be 2 points for that one. So let's say we had that there because we don't want to waste it. That's another 4 points there. Then we have life rafts. How many life rafts do we have on it? We have 1. There's 1 more point. Okay. And then we're going to score 1 point for every human on board. Again, he's a propeller. So 1, 2. That's 2 more points. And finally, we're going to score 2 points for every cannon and every crane on our ship. 2 points. There we go. That's how many points we scored. So how many points did we score? We have, let's see, 6. Could have done this a little bit better. I'm sorry. That's 10. That's 15. That's 19 points.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Okay, that's a pretty good ship right there. So now that we've done that, we're going to move this off to the side. This ship is going to go ahead and slide on up there. All of that is used. This stays there. Our directionality, and that stays there. You can kind of set this off to the side if you need, because that's where you're at, whatever. But there may be a goal associated with those, so you don't want to give them up. But I still have this available, and now I need more stuff, as well as new ship. So I scored, as I mentioned, I scored 19 points. So yellow, literally, we would go ahead and peg 19. Boom, done. There you go. Now, anytime you buy ship pieces, commodities, canals, any of that, it immediately at the end of your action will slide down.
Okay.
And we will refill.
So it's refilled for the next action.
Okay? All right. So we rinse and repeat. Do this over and over until the end game's triggered, which is when all the cubes come down. That will drop down. Then, once it drops down, if I'm the first player, it will actually drop down on Martin's turn. He will, that signifies, I'm sorry, it'll actually drop down on Trey's turn. Martin, everybody gets the same number of turns.
Oh, okay, yep.
And then everybody gets 1 more turn, and you can do any of the things. It does not matter if it's occupied or not. After you've done that, if by buying a single ship piece would complete your ship and allow you to go on a shakedown cruise, you are allowed in turn order to purchase 1 piece. And 1 piece only. If 2 would do it, I'm sorry, you have an incomplete ship. Playing better.
Got it.
1 piece. We do it in turn order and take a shakedown cruise. Then we go into final scoring. Now, a couple more things. Everybody starts with 6 guilders. If at the end of your action, whatever the action was that you chose to do there, you wish to take a second action, you may do so.
You can do it before also.
Yeah, you're fair. You could do it before. You can pay 6 guilders, take the action. However, you cannot take the action that you're taking as your main action.
Yeah.
Nor can you pay $12 to do 2 actions. Nor can you pay 18. You get the idea. It's 1 extra action, and you can do this 20 times if you find a way to make enough money to be able to do it.
Okay.
Okay? So, take 1 action. That final action where you can take any of those, you are not allowed to buy an extra action. You should have already planned ahead for that. All right, last thing, we will score our endgame contracts. There are 2 types of endgame contracts. There are things like how many business people do you have? For every ship that has a cannon and a soldier on it, score 3 points. For every captain you have, or first mate, first officer, whatnot. For every pair of smokestacks on a ship, check that. For every ship with 2 smokestacks, score 3 points. If you launch 6 ships, that would be 18 points. You get the idea on all of those.
You can't have 4 smokestacks.
No, and that won't be 6 points. It's per ship. So everybody, because we're playing the quote-unquote advanced game, will get 3 of those. Everybody else will also get 3 of these. This is how many middle pieces do you have? 3, 4, 5, or 6. Score 2, 7, 13, or 19 points. That one. For every size...
Every size 6.
Every size 6 ship. Check that. That is a size 3, 4, 5, and 6 ship.
Having
Sorry,
all
have
four.
though 4. That'll be worth 19 points.
Okay,
I
that
misspoke.
makes-
Sorry.
that makes sense.
How many lanterns do you have? Up to 12 points and then 1 point each. You get the idea. These are right employees. There you go. Different color sets of employee. Whatever. You get the idea on all of these. Having 22 ship pieces, 18 points. You get the idea. We're each going to get 3 of these, and then at some point during the game, and by some point I mean when we have removed 4 of these, you'll notice that we have now crossed that threshold. We've crossed that little line right there. Everybody will discard 2 of each, leaving themselves 1 and 1, and those are the 1 and 1s that you're going to score at the end of the game. Unless you're playing the heavy cardboard variant, which is 5 and 5, which are out there, and then you just ignore that. You don't discard them. You just score 1 at the end of the game.
Do it.
Yeah. All right, there you go. That's pretty much it.
There's gaming points for the reds.
Oh, right. Okay. At the end of the game, there are certain employees. So these that give you extra money, I mentioned, you'll notice that there are little anchors with points. There's a 1 and a 3, but you got to get the 1 before you get the 3. They are cumulative. It's a handful of points at the end of the game. Whoever has the most points wins. Guilders are the tiebreaker. All right, that's it. And thanks for watching, y'all. Hopefully it was fun or informative or helpful or maybe all of the above or some of the above. If so, consider watching one of those videos and subscribing to the channel. Certainly does help, and maybe even consider supporting us over on Patreon. All of those things really do help the channel. We appreciate it. Thanks, y'all.